California Assembly Committee blocks bill that could have sent human traffickers to kids to prison for life. And if you go a little lower, you know, California got the Golden State Lower House Committee, Senate Bill 14, which would make human trafficking for children a serious felony. The serious felony charges under California law currently include murder, rape, and any other crime which may incur in the death penalty or life sentence in the state prison. However, instead of upping the ante on child traffickers, the California Assembly Public Safety Committee nuked the measure on Tuesday. How wild is that? And they don't just nuke it on any week. They nuke it on the week of the movie Sound of Freedom coming out that beats Harrison Ford's movie, Indiana Jones. And it was like, you know, it's just it's not a real story. It's just a bunch of different things, inaccurate facts. What is Newsom thinking when stuff like this is passing in his state? How do you sell this? How do you sell this to parents?
I don't think he cares because California is so ridiculously Democrat that he's never going to be held accountable. But, I mean, you know, Patrick, you have really broad-based appeal. I encourage the next Democrat you have on the show, just like ask them a very simple question, which is like, I know you hate Trump. I know you have to reflexively oppose everything the American right focuses on, right? Like everything. But do you really have to do that when it comes to child sex trafficking? Like, can you check your like pathological type opposition to all things right wing and just maybe like just lay down your arms for, I don't know, one issue, like just one issue? Yeah. Can you just like take it easy? I mean, Rolling Stone, Guardian, QAnon adjacent film seducing America. That was the Rolling Stone headline. Or that might have been the Guardian, or the Rolling Stone and Guardian had two.
Yeah, but that was the title. You are correct.
Miles Klee for Rolling Stone.
Yeah, and so maybe you could just like take an afternoon off. I mean, you guys love doing weed a lot. Like, why don't you just like smoke weed and like take, like, this is not a necessary article for you to publish, right? Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. Like, okay, that's rollingstone.com. First of all, it's a true story. It's a heroic story. It's a beautiful film. It's really successful. Maybe we could all agree that, okay, we have different politics, but I don't know, like moving children across state lines and prostituting them for rape and for money is probably evil. Like, no, you're QAnon. Well, hold on. Like, do you understand what you're doing? Yeah. I mean, can you break out of your muscle memory automatic opposition that if someone on the right says something, I must oppose it? I try my best to do this, right? To not do this, right? If I see something on the left, like if Bobby Kennedy says something I like, I'm going to speak out. I encourage everyone in the audience, regardless of your politics, this right here is the most destructive operating behavior in the entire country. And when people on the right do it, it's bad. People on the left. People on the right don't do it as much. They just don't, because I think they tend to be more intellectually honest because they have to constantly prove their stances and beliefs. But this right here, what does this accomplish? Where you're bashing a movie that 8 years ago, Patrick, 10 years ago, the country that we used to have 10 years ago, people be like, oh, cool film. Let's go bring our families. But now it instantly has to politicize things. And people say, oh, Charlie, why are we so divided? Because Rolling Stone politicizes things that should have widespread agreement unless you're a pedophile. Unless you are a pedophile, and I'm not suggesting this author is, but unless you are a pedophile, you should probably support Sound of Freedom.
Charlie, you're 1,000,000% right in what you're saying. And I saw the movie last night. You saw it a week ago, less than a week ago. You recommended it. We talked about this the other day with Lauren Chen.
Yep.
And there's probably someone up on an upcoming podcast, possibly this weekend, that we can even bring this up to. But you're absolutely right. I'm in downtown Miami, not exactly far right-wing, MAGA country. Not exactly far left either. No, Cuban community, Republican.
It's a great, beautiful
very
city.
Purple city here in Miami.
Great. Terrific place.
All sorts of shapes and colors are at the movie. Everyone jaws dropped, shocked, holy shit. So if I didn't know about the headlines ahead of time, now that I'm seeing these headlines, as just a reasonable, moderate person, I'm like, what the fuck are they thinking? What is dads with brainworms? QAnon? It's a movie of vilified, disgusting, vile people and trafficking
which does
children.
Happen. Yes.
And selling them into sexual slavery, period, full stop. Yeah, this is not a political agenda, nothing.
And so, but Rolling Stone is like attacking us as dads with brainworms. Look at the QAnon-tinged thriller.
So, do you know who that Miles Klee is? He's a weirdo, by the way. They showed up photos of his profile. But you know what's crazy in this situation? The left doesn't care. Do you know who does care, Charlie? Criminals, like people that are in jail. Like Larry Nassar just got stabbed 6 times, like the ex-gymnastics guy. these people don't give a shit, but criminals who are in there for, beating people up or burglary, they find your ass and they hold you accountable.
And that goes to show exactly what Aristotle argued, which that there's a hierarchy to the good and there's a hierarchy to the bad, right? And even if someone's like in jail for embezzling money, or like they even know the most vile scum are the pedophiles and the traffickers. So you think about it, like you make a really interesting point. Prisoners, again, I'm not defending the stabbing of Larry Nassar.
Me neither.
Shouldn't happen. But he is the scum of the earth, and I believe he'll go into the fire of hell unless he repents in front of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. I really believe that. But like even they are like, no.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I might have, I don't know, shot up like a drive-by shooting or like robbed a bank.
Or robbed the bank.
But
don't mess with the kids.
No.
Yup.
So let me, the morality of a prison gang is clearer than the morality of Rolling Stone.
Wow. Yes.
Brilliant.
And I've heard that
right.
multiple times from people who I know have been in and out.
That is like the strongest point I've heard.
They'll kill you.
If they find out that's the reason you're in jail, not murder.
You're dead.
No.
You're dead.
Not criminal activity.
Embezzlement.
None of that. They find out that you're raping children, they will come for you in prison.
And mind you, you know what the story was, Charlie, that Larry Nassar was in the prison and Wimbledon. They wanted to watch Wimbledon. He's like, let's put on the women's. And the guy stabbed the shit out of him. So I salute that guy. I don't care. He got to get paid.
Yeah.
I don't support the vigilante stabbing of people in prisons. However, I will say this. Prisons are, I don't know how deep you want to go into this. Prisons are super interesting pictures into the state of nature, right? So we're always asking, like, what are people like in their natural habitat? So what does prison have? Well, you don't have to work. You have all your meals provided for you. You have room and board. So what happens in prison? People naturally associate with people who look like them. So we're naturally tribal people, right? You naturally form into communities where you other the other people.
That's also for survival in many cases.
No, of course it is. Yes. But it also just happens without any sort of central planning, right? Whites with whites, Hispanics, blacks with blacks. I'm not defending it. It's just interesting from an observational standpoint, but also that there's a moral code that comes in where even the people who are locked up for life that have done things that we would consider to be against civil society standards, they say, nuh-uh. That in the state of nature, you do not need to go to Harvard to know. You don't need to go to Stanford to know that raping children is evil.
Even the bad people know that, is what you're saying.
Well, no, like even in the state of nature, like reduce down the person that you and I would be like, okay, like you shouldn't have robbed those 30 cars, like or whatever you did, right? They then they have a line that thou shalt not cross.
Point.
I love that.
What a point, right? When you think about that, like, listen, there's a certain moral code. You did that, no problem. Everybody gangs up against you.
Everybody.
But that in the state of nature, what it goes to show is that there's something fundamental in our soul that says children are off limits, and yet Rolling Stone does not subscribe to that.
You're saying there's a hierarchy of evil, and that's at the top of the list.
Of course, I believe in the better word is gradations, right? Gradations of sins. That, for example, stealing a pencil is nowhere near raping a child. Like, it's different universes. I believe that epistemologically and theologically and religiously, and I think we all agree with that morally. But I just want to reemphasize the point that the prison gang is thinking more clearly in terms of good or evil or right and wrong than the mainstream.
And by the way, and if it's the male sex offenders, look how they're wired. Look at these guys. This is a Telegraph story. Male sex offenders faking trans identities to move to women's prisons.
Brilliant.
Okay? Research backed by Ministry of Justice suggests that male sex offenders are pretending to be transgender in order to be transferred to women's prisons. Inmates who fake transitioning see it as a way to lower their risk and secure a place in female prison state. There were 168 legally male trans women prisoners in England and Wales, with only 6 in women's prisons and the remainder in men's prisons. Men jailed for sexual offenses are twice as likely to identify as trans women who than those jailed for other types of offenses. The Ministry of Justice has introduced stricter rules after the controversy surrounding the placement of a transgender convict convicted of raping 2 women in an all-female prison. The study reveals concerns about fakers posing a threat to reputation of genuine transgender prisoners and limit resources available in custody. You know what this is? Bad policies eventually get exposed, hypocrisy gets exposed, and now they have to sit there and try to argue and defend this, and they can't. How are you going to defend this? You can't defend an argument like this. What do you think about when you hear a story like this?
Oh, I mean, look, I have very strong opinions on the trans thing, but it's not going to stop, right? I mean, so of course they're going to well, first of all, the headline says male sex offenders faking trans identities. All trans identities are fake. So I don't understand what you mean faking. Like, it's all fake. You're not what you wish to be. You are what you are. Okay?
Such a good point.
So, but yeah, I mean, so they're trying, I mean, this old idea, it used to be kind of a joke, right? Of, oh yeah, I would want to become a woman so I could go in the female locker room. Well, it's not a joke. It's now policy. And this is a social contagion. I don't fall under this, and you guys obviously don't. I hope not either, which is, are you going to reaccommodate all of society for people's deep-seated mental problems? No, that's a really bad idea. You should not change customs. You should not change rules. You should not change protections of the innocent or women because people are having issues with their own existence or their own identity, period. And yet we're seeing that not just in prisons, but in sports and in schools. And so you could tell a lot by a society about what do people do with power. Okay, so if you're in charge of a society, do you use that power to protect people that are not as strong as you?
Yeah.
Or do you use that power to then terrorize people that are not as strong as you? Almost every society that has ever existed uses power for tyranny or authoritarian means. The West was built on this idea that we are going to intervene to protect those that can't protect themselves. It's a profound idea. It's a Christian idea, right? That I care about my neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19. Jesus said the two most important things: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and then love your neighbor as yourself. That teaching built the West. Love your neighbor as yourself. Therefore, if there's someone, for example, in a wheelchair, and somebody goes by and just like throws them onto the street, you should go to jail for that. Like that. But you look at it through a Darwinistic secular lens. Why? Why not? What's wrong with that? Survival of the fittest. Like, no, you should not be able to use your power to exploit, harm, damage somebody that does not have the same strength as you. In fact, it's morally incumbent on the people who do have the strength. I use strength as a broad term, not just physical strength, but I do mean it in this sense. And yes, men are stronger than women. There are some women that are stronger than men, but generally, bone density, testosterone, muscle mass, like we really have to prove this right now. So don't be surprised when male predators that have deep-seated mental problems want to go into women's prisons to rape them.
And get them pregnant. There was an issue a couple months ago. They were getting them pregnant.
But it's just like this. I mean, again, we live in Narnia in some ways. It's like this really weird existence where 5 years ago, Patrick, when you and I sat down at Turning Point USA's Young Women's Leadership Summit, these feminazis were screaming in my ear about, oh my gosh, men are around the corner, always wanting to rape me, and Kavanaugh's a gang rapist, and everyone's Harvey Weinstein. And 5 years later, they're like, but if Harvey Weinstein identifies as a woman, progress.
Yeah. But here's a question for everybody here. So all of us here. So you know how you just said 5 years ago trans wasn't a thing, right? And we're not talking about it.
But it wasn't what it is now.
It's not what it is today, right? Okay, so women's sports. You saw. Can you pull up the picture about the what was it? The Netherlands woman.
That's correct. Miss Netherlands.
Miss Netherlands beat out this
on who she beat out, like who she beat. You're at a nightclub. You got two choices. You're 24 years old. You're single.
How dark is it?
Who are you picking?
How dark is the club?
But can you get the pictures of the two girls right next to each other? I don't know if you have that or not.
By the way, I'm loving that I'm seeing this for the first time.
You haven't seen it?
I've not seen it.
I actually put this on my Instagram.
Okay,
if you
so
go to
then
my
let me
Instagram. I have the contracts posted.
That's her smiling with getting the crown.
That's the man, not her.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. That's the guy that just won Miss.
Vinny can't even tell, bro.
Sorry, bro. I'm just out there.
So Rob, why don't you just go to his Instagram? I'm going to go pull it up because you have to see this, okay?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. I did a picture by picture.
That's the one you want to show. You want to show the one that's the picture by picture.
Netherlands is woke, huh?
Yeah.
Netherlands went for it.
Are you sure it's on your Instagram or it's on your Twitter?
Scroll down. See the beauty queen? And then I believe it's 2 pictures in a row. I could be wrong. Well, you got to log in.
Let me see if you got it or not. Because you guys
can open
have
it.
to see
If you
this.
open it in a new tab, it usually, you're
Here, Rob, I'll just text
And you never would have thought like Netherlands
have it
going
right here,
for it, huh? I
And they're part of the EU, bro.
Just tell me when you got it. I'm going to text it to you. You see the picture. The guy on the left
Yep.
wins.
And then try the next one. Try the next photo.
There
I
you
told
go.
ya.
Zoom in.
What?
Check this
That's
out.
my Instagram.
Oh my
The one to the left wins. The
Neuro-
girl on the right is the
neurotic
runner-up.
freak.
Who are the judges? That's the real question.
So you're at a nightclub.
Yeah.
One's to your left, one's to your right, Vinny.
How many drinks,
One
Matt?
says to you.
How many drinks am
One
I in?
says to you.
Yeah.
Hello, Vinny. The other one says to you. Hi, Vinny. Which one are you going to be picking? Do you realize the guy to the left wins Miss Netherlands?
How many Long Island iced teas have I had?
It doesn't matter how many
No, it's
freaking
ridiculous. It's
virgin
ridiculous.
dacquery, whatever you're going to have.
No, the girl on the right
It's
is gorgeous.
unacceptable.
It's unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable.
Can we punch in on the number one? The girl on the right is
beautiful.
absolutely gorgeous. If you're ever come to South Beach, Florida, we'd love
Please,
to host you here.
Adam Sosnick.
Absolutely gorgeous. Punch it on the left because it's a sort of a different perspective on the picture. Can you punch in, Rob?
that's as far in as I can go.
That's intentional.
Please
They don't
stay
want you
that
to
far
punch
away.
out
I don't
too
want
much.
you to go.
All right, that's intentional.
But here's the
Yeah,
the
it's not
point is,
even
if
close,
you
guys.
actually, while we're talking, try to find a picture that zoomed in a little bit more to see the
actual.
Just let's see the Adam's apple, buddy.
When you're thinking about, when you're going through this, Rob, you find it. But here's what I want you to think about. You know how some ideas create momentum and then it's short-lived and it disappears, or some toys or some games or some whatever, right? This happens all the time. Hey, remember in New York, they used to do the punch the person and then you would run away.
Oh, yeah, the knocking out.
Yeah,
people.
zoom in a little bit more. Zoom in a little.
But what's the I'm sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go for it.
Look at the women applauding. And I have a whole theory on this if you want to get into it.
Tell us.
Well, look, Andrew Tate talks about this frequently. By the way, your interview was great. I didn't watch all 5 hours, but you've done a great job, Patrick. Congratulations to you covering all that. Is that men are disagreeable by nature. We are the ones that say no. Women are agreeable by nature. They want to be liked.
Yeah.
That right there is a feminine culture gone awry. Agreeableness by all means. Agreeableness even to allow men to metaphorically rape our competitions. This is a metaphorical rape of Miss Netherlands, is what it is. I am a man and I'm forcibly inserting myself without consent into your competition. I'm sorry to be so graphic, but that's what this is. And they're like, oh yeah, progress. Applauding?
Imagine the outrage.
But imagine for a second if it was an all-male competition.
Yep, that's just where I was going.
Put up with that crap.
The guys in the back would be like, "What the is going on?
We would
This is
step up.
ridiculous."
Like, who are you, you little punk? Because this is why when a society goes too feminine, it can also become too tyrannical.
But how long is this going to last, though? So again, go back to it. Listen, the question I'm asking is, remember that one thing you stood on it and you would go, you would spin, whatever that thing was, that one wheel thing. What was it?
Segway?
The stand.
Segway.
By the way, for about 3 years, 5 years, that thing was hot, right?
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
We can talk about a lot of things, trendy products that disappeared after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And you're no longer using it.
Vaccines.
How long is this going to go before they themselves, women, like, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take a feminist girl from the left who's a hardcore liberal to come out and say, guys, this is too much, because let me tell you what happened to my daughter. I'm not with it.
Yep.
So it will only last as long as we allow it to last, because it is a pathogen of evil, and we must be intolerant of this crap. There should be no openness to this, period. But I'm not as bullish on it ending soon, because unlike the Segway, this is supported by the CDC. This is supported by, and by the way, vastly billions of dollars to be made by Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, not just on the surgery, but on the annuities of other drugs that will be made. This is a cash cow for the most powerful companies in the world. You could look up the map, and there used to be two gender clinics 40 years ago in the Western world. Now there are well over 500 to 600 in America alone. You could fact check me on this, but I believe it's at least 500 or 600.
Probably grew by 5, just us sitting here.
Yes. And by the way, if you look at, in the 60s or 70s, there were some, and then there are none some. I don't know what the number is now. You could look it up.
It's going to be a lot.
It's for at least 500 or 600 nationwide. So there's a whole cottage industry, Patrick. But here's the biggest problem, is the social contagion. It's like the lab leak from Wuhan, right? It's out, and so how do we actually inoculate ourselves against it? The transmission is through TikTok, where they are preying on young girls that have puberty anxiety, that are misdiagnosing their puberty anxiety for gender dysphoria. And then they go into a predatory pediatric environment where the questions are all wrong. The questions are, well, do you think you're a man? Would you like to talk to somebody about whether you're a man? Instead of, I understand you're having anxiety about where you're at. Let's just take pause and allow yourself to develop. Puberty is actually the solution here. It's not the problem. What do? They give them puberty blockers. Mm-hmm. They slow down the thing that actually, once it comes to completion and your hormones balance, and you're like, okay, my estrogen and testosterone levels naturally kind of even out, then we're clear. How long, Patrick? I have no idea. But we, as clear, courageous Americans, need to stand up against this, and it is tyrannical in nature. That's got to be an outdated map. And there was one more recently.
And Charlie, you said TikTok, and what a great segue just of how China has just been owning our asses. They obviously own TikTok. They're infiltrating. They've already done it. They're training their kid. They train their kindergarten kids for for combat. I'm not even joking. They put them in war boot camps. They spy on China. Just it's not a gun shooting war. It's a slowly infiltrating us, and that's one of the main. That's one of the main ones is the trans and making men.
You also
weak.
said that you're not bullish on basically the stopping. The biggest thing is
I am.
Okay,
and I'll tell you guys here in a minute.
Yeah, well,
I want to hope so.
No, I'll give you mine, but I want you to go.
Well, I want to give you kudos because you just did a whole episode on this, the dark history of the LGBT community, right?
That's the map. I'm sorry. Just keep going.
All good. But the key word in that is the T, guys. Nobody's got a problem with the L's, the G's, the B's. The T is where, all right, what's happening right now? That's a totally different agenda.
By the way,
you said that 20% of Gen Z, that's what we're talking about here. The future of America is not part.
It's not going to work, guys. Well, it's not going to work.
It's trending in the wrong direction.
By the way, we can argue. This is why we have a debate, and we point out leaks in our argument, your argument, and we have a good time with this. So can you go to the other one I sent you? I just sent you 2 links in the email. If you can pull up one of them that validates his is the one from Pentagon. If you can pull that up. I don't know if you have it or not. Okay. So the one from Pentagon shows, this is from military.com. So this is not a website that is a second party, third party, a blogger or any of that stuff. It's military.com. It says, here's how much the Pentagon has spent so far to treat transgender troops. The military, you and I are paying for this, okay? Here's how much it's spent, okay? So again, this is what website? Military.com.
Don't be with
the Pentagon has spent. The Pentagon has spent $15 million in the past 5 years to treat 1,892 transgender troops, including $11.5 million for psychotherapy and $3.1 million for surgeries, according to Defense Department data provided to military.com. And then you can see of the 243 gender reassignment surgeries performed on the military personnel since 2016, 50 of them was in 16. 193 occurred from January 1st, 2018 to 2019. And then 2 years after President Donald Trump announced via Twitter, he would bar transgender individuals from serving in the military. Okay, so now, you see this, you're like, wait a minute, I paid this much? Yeah, taxpayer, you paid for it. Now, one argument I'll make to you how dumb this is, I want you to think about this. I want you to think you're the enemy. And the enemy, Xi, Putin, gets a report. Hey, sir, I have a report to show you, deeply concerning. What's that? It's a massive threat. America has a new secret weapon on how they're going to take us down. What's that? Do they have a new SEAL Team 6? Yeah, no. No. Is it a new nuclear? No. They're investing in transgender surgeries.
What?
And these guys are they're even better than Navy SEAls. No way. We think Putin's sitting there saying that's exactly what's going on with America. Now, let me give the flip side. Now, watch this. Yeah. Who supported kids staying home and not going to school? Who supported it? Who supported it?
The left, for the most part.
The left. And General Surgeon Vivek comes out saying, no, we need to stay home and all this other stuff. Here's what we need to do because we can't risk the lives of all these elderly. Perfect. Give the other article that I just texted you. This is new. Look what website it is. Go to what website it is. It's important to show the website all the way at the top. This is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
.gov.
This is who came to our office when COVID happened, if you remember.
In Dallas.
And in Dallas, they wanted to find us. They said, you guys covered all the things because Ian did a great job back then. So go back to the article on the bottom and see what happens. This is May 3rd. Put the date on when it is at the top so they can see it. May 3rd, 2023. New Surgeon General Advisory raises alarm about the devastating impact of the epidemic of loneliness and isolation in the United States.
Hello?
No shit, Sherlock. You pulled this off, right? So here's the point. This is what's going to happen. Wait till one of their daughters gets violated by a transgender man and it's deep in their house. And then they're going to realize, guys, I don't give a flying you-know-what. This just crossed the line. This is insanity. And then they're going to unify and come together and say, we have to create a league. Trans, you want to compete against each other? Go ahead and compete against each other. But the level of, like, one of the questions I want to ask one of our friends that's coming on next Saturday, him and I have been exchanging. No one's going to believe that this guy's coming on the podcast. Next Saturday.
Oh, next Saturday. Gotcha.
I can't wait to have this conversation with him. It's a guy I actually really like, and it's probably one of the top 5 biggest liberal TV show hosts out there. I'm excited about having him on. Okay, so
you're gonna know his name.
You know what the question's gonna be. Here's what the question's gonna be. The question's gonna be, what do we have in common? What do Republicans and OG Democrats, Kennedy Democrats, Clinton Democrats? Now I'm not talking Biden Democrats. What do Clinton Democrats and JFK Democrats have in common with Republicans? What is it? What do we have? I bet there is so many things we agree on. Is it fair to say that you want to make sure your kids are protected? Yes, I do too. Great. Is it fair to say that you want to be able to go to any church you want to go to? If you're an atheist, no problem. You're a Scientologist, no problem. You're Christian, Muslim, go for it. Practice whatever you want. You agree that? I do too. Right. Is it fair to say that you don't want to pay so much taxes that the incentive goes away for your kids to want to go build a business one day, have their dreams become? Yeah, I'm with that. Okay. Is it fair that we would want the country to be safe? I do. Maybe you don't want to spend as much money. Maybe I don't want to spend that much money. But we both agree. Yes. How about the transgender stuff? Can I ask why we can't agree on this? You know, I'm watching a video of Serena Williams. We've all seen it. She's on David Letterman. He's trying to get her to say, you know, and she says, no, Andy Murray called me and said, let's play a match together. And Serena says, honestly, Andy, I don't want to play against you because it'll be a 5-minute match. He'll beat me 6-0, 6-0. It won't even be close. I don't want to compete against men because I'll lose. I want to compete against women. It's not even fair. And then David Letterman and the audience is quiet because you know what? And by the way, she's a liberal. Her husband, Armenian guy, he's a liberal. They're not Republicans, but she's saying logic. Eventually, this is the one, if you want to play this and look how uncomfortable it gets. Everyone's seen it here. Can you make it bigger and impressive? Watch what happens here with her.
Well, actually, it's funny because Andy Murray, he was been joking about myself and him playing a match, and I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports.
She's a Democrat.
So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0, and 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because no, it's true. It's true. It's a completely
no one's reacting.
It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
I'm with you when it comes to
I'm with you. Okay, David, you sure you're with?
This is old though.
Yeah, no, it is. It's 10 years old. That's not even a question.
No,
yeah, go ahead.
It's not the point though.
Yes.
She would say the same thing today though.
100%.
She would say the same thing today because common sense and logic eventually prevails, because eventually certain communities, like one of the things you said, it's so powerful. The word I've been dealing with lately for myself is tolerance and intolerance. You know, the whole thing about, you know, we Christian, you know, to me, 3 communities are ruining America. It's very easy for me. It's the scared and lazy Republicans, okay?
Sure.
You're not buying Time Magazine. You're not buying, you know, any of this stuff that's available. You're not buying any of these media companies while they buy it. So number 1 is scared and lazy Republicans. Number 2 is tolerant Christians.
Yes.
And number 3 is do your thing libertarians. I think those 3 communities are ruining America. But logic and common sense comes out and Democrats say, she doesn't kind of make sense. I'm kind of on the same page with you there. So maybe it's America over my political party. Eventually, I think enough people are going to say America over my political party.
Yeah, and I agree. So whether I'm bearish or the trans thing is unique because it's fundamentally predatory on anxiety that's not going to go away with young teenagers. And we have now trained hundreds of thousands of teachers to advance this social contagion. 40% of all brown kids, 38% of all students at Brown University identify as LGBTQIA+. Okay? 38%. This is the gayest generation in history. Let's just talk. You could have your own opinions on the gay thing. I believe in traditional marriage, obviously. But how are you going to, like, repopulate the species if 40% of your people are, or 38% are gay? Yeah, 38% at Brown University are gay. 38%. This is a social contagion. So it is accelerating. It's not slowing down. But Patrick, you're right. It could end up slowing down, but it requires a mindset shift. It requires decent, ordinary people to say, okay, I grew up with the temperament of live and let live. I'm not going to allow you to have this trans zealotry continue to spread across the country. This is a war on reality. What you just saw with Serena Williams and David Letterman was a 50-second refreshing clip of reality. The entire project of postmodernism rejects reality. It's you can be whatever you want to be, as you want to be it. Take chemicals, wage war on your own natural design. you get to decide your own existence.
You can just think it in your mind. You don't even have to take chemicals.
No, that's exactly right. And
I'm a billionaire, guys. That's how I identify.
So it really is this simple. And I don't mean to like trivialize this. The new divide in America is team reality against insane neurotic people.
Yes.
It's that simple. If you are on team reality, Bobby Kennedy, I think he's great. He lives on team reality. Okay? The biggest crime that Bobby Kennedy Jr. has committed is the crime of noticing. Oh, wait, why do so many people have autism? Why is our air like harder to breathe? Like, why are testosterone rates down? Oh, he's a QAnon conspiracy theorist, far right-wing extremist Kennedy Democrat because he commits the crime of noticing. Noticing is the first step to live in reality.
Noticing and saying something about it.
Yes, then speaking the truth, which we believe in the Christian tradition is the logos, right? So it's very simple. The West used to, 99% of people in the West used to believe in this, regardless of your religious affiliation. I'm going to notice what's happening around me. I'm going to say what's happening around me, and then we can have a discussion of whether or not that should continue. Now you're not even allowed to notice it. Now it's you're a bigot, you're a terrible person for even mentioning the injustice that is so obviously happening around you.
Yeah, absolute truth. And
so, by the way, have you seen the Gallup poll? Have you seen the Gallup poll that shows in America? I don't know if I'm asking Brandon to say this because this video that we did on LGBTQ, if you've not seen this video, let me tell you.
It's great.
The amount of emails and stuff I got from
positive
people.
Positive or negative?
95% was positive. Good. Saying, I didn't even know this data. You know what was one of the most interesting data points? Brandon, if you can send it to me. If you don't, it's all good. You have it in your notes. It went, not this one, it's another one. He didn't send you the right one. This one everyone's seen. There was one that we had that showed in 1979, they asked, it's a Gallup poll, they asked Americans, what percentage of gays are they gay because they're born that way versus their environment? You know what percentage of Americans in 1979 said you're born gay versus environment?
Less than 15% probably.
Exactly 13%. Interesting. You're right there, right? You know what the number is today? Here, I got the Gallup poll. I want to show you.
Probably 65%.
I want to say it's 49%.
Oh, wow.
I want to say
that's lower than I thought.
Yeah, you have to see this Gallup poll. By the way, this link to this Gallup poll, two things. I recommend go watch that LGBTQ video. And two, keep this Gallup poll we're about to put it in the comment section so people can also have it, Rob. I'm texting it to you if you can pull it up because it's different versus when somebody says it versus you see it, Gallup.com, that says what this is. And the one I want you to go to where it says, I'm going to listen regardless. Okay, go all the way to the bottom that says, what percentage of people were born gay versus their environment? Okay, it's all the way, I think, at the bottom, if you can find this.
Yeah. By the way, Gallup, pretty credible
very
polling.
Very credible.
Source, yeah. So not far right, not far left.
They've also shown that the country's moving center right. That's another poll they've done recently, which is really interesting.
By the way, he's right. And you know what else they found out, which was kind of weird? This whole thing about born gay versus not born gay. There was another thing that they said about where we were at back in the days on allowing gays to adopt children. This one produced the biggest controversy on the questions. Back in 1977, it was only 14%. They said they should. Today, it's 75%. If you go all the way to the bottom and type in adopt, if you just Control F adopt, it'll show up. If you just want to type in, there you go. Look at that. 1977, 14% said they should. 77% no, they should not. But in 2019, it's 75% they should.
It's inverted.
It's inverted, okay? And then you have the other 13% that said they were born or they were not born. The whole point is, and then there was another data that came out with Gallup, which was very interesting, the whole about black liberals versus white liberals. Yes. I don't know if you've seen this one.
No, but black liberals tend to be more socially conservative than white liberals.
By a mile.
Even white conservatives, they're more socially conservative than.
So Republicans, black liberals, white liberals. Just think about those three, okay? Same question. What percentage of gays are born gay versus, their environment, okay? Yeah.
Nature versus nurture.
Republicans say, no, it's your environment. You're not born gay, okay? White liberals, 72% said, you're born that way. You know what black liberals was? 30%.
I believe it.
They were 21% away from Republicans and 42% away from white liberals.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.